A sex fantasy as I fall asleep next to my husband. It starts like this. I open the front door and there you are. I'm wearing a dress. It's casual, gray, ribbed fabric, racerback top. My shoulders are tan, a little broader and a little more toned than my real shoulders. That's okay. This is just a fantasy. If my shoulders looked like that, I'd have short hair to show them off. Alexa Chung's haircut. I'm a bit thinner in the face. That makes sense. I'm grieving. The dress has a slit up one side. I'm pregnant, of course. That's why it's so tragic. When I open the door, I place one hand on my belly, which is perfectly round. As I consider you, I run my hand up and down as though I'm protecting the baby, or using it as a talisman to protect me from you. Oh, I say. It comes out as a breath. The rims of my eyes are red, but not puffy. I have summer freckles across my nose. My eyes would be puffy, though. I'm really sad, depressed, forcing myself every day to push through. It's okay to imagine that my eyes wouldn't be puffy. It's just a fantasy. But it's important that you see how hard this has been for me. And it would be hard, wouldn't it? Maybe too hard. How would I even survive? If Ben died when I was pregnant before he got to meet the baby, maybe there shouldn't be a baby. And I could be wearing black. Isn't it the summer, though? It could be winter. No, there has to be a baby. I have to have a reason to be alive. If he died, I'd kill myself. I'd convince everyone I was fine so that they would leave me the fuck alone in my own goddamn house, and then I'd do it. Maybe pills. No, not pills. I hate throwing up. You can die from sodium poisoning if you drink enough soy sauce. I like salt, but still throwing up. Maybe a gun. It's easy to buy a gun. I'd tell whoever was babysitting me that I had errands, something innocuous, books I had pre-ordered. Quick shot to the head, easy. A blip. You would be sad if I died. You would be the one grieving. Ha. I might not do it if there were a baby, Ben's baby. I would love it because it was him and me, my baby pictures, that little girl on the beach holding a high C, her curling hair in a messy ponytail, with his brown eyes, the slight gap between his front teeth. Maybe he could stay alive long enough to meet her. Couldn't she be there, a toddler, grabbing onto my leg as I opened the door? That would give him time to have a longer death. Maybe he gets sick when the baby's a newborn, and he has time to explain to me about our investments. If he died suddenly when I was pregnant in a car crash or something, I'd be in shock. And then I'd seem like an idiot because I had no idea about our money and things. But the shock is important. Why would I say yes to you otherwise? When you show up at my door and are going to ask me what you're going to ask? How could I watch him die and then give even one fuck about you? I would hate you. Anyway, I would open the door and say, oh, like a breath. There you are. You're sorry about Ben, about everything. You've come to realize that you didn't treat me the way I deserve to be treated. That you shouldn't have ended things the way you did. Your eyes are puffy, your hair is a mess, and you're in a t-shirt and cut-off shorts. But that doesn't matter to me because you're beautiful. Later, after you've said what you came to say, we'd be in bed, the pink sheets over our faces, the sunlight shining so that we're both glowing rose. I want to cry looking at you, the way your wild, curling hair falls against your forehead and your bare arms. In the doorway, you say something like, hi. Maybe you're actually wearing that white shirt, the band one, the one that cuts off right at your belly button, and you say something like, I know this sounds crazy, but this is so stupid. It's okay to imagine spending a day with you without all this bullshit. Maybe we just run into each other somewhere, like both our flights were canceled and we can't get home, and we decide to pretend that you never hurt me, never left me for just tonight, and no one has to die or be born because of it. But imagine if you said to me, I know this is crazy, but I've been thinking about it, and what if we did this together? What if you let me help you and love the baby and love you forever? What if you let me watch rom-coms and eat dinner on the couch with you for the rest of your life? Because I love you, and I loved you then, even though I never said it. You don't ever have to love me as much as you loved him. If you said that, I would move my hand from the door, take a step back, and let you in. You would cry and fall to your knees and wrap your arms around me and kiss my belly. I would get down on my knees too and grab your face in mine and say something like, everyone will think we're crazy. It usually ends like that. It's implied that we have sex, but I only imagine the sex if I'm in bed alone and feel like masturbating. Even then, I don't get very far before I just put on porn. The best part is the clothes and the grief and knowing I'm getting what I want and doing nothing wrong.
You're listening to Books on the Bed, where I travel through the country asking our hosts, if I came to your town and stayed at your house, what books would you put on my bed? Each host will share 6 books for me to carry with me on the journey of my life. And I'm here to share those books with you. As we go, we're building a digital library with every book put on every bed across the country. And who knows, maybe someday, the world. We are trying to share as many diverse stories as possible to part a curtain between us and bring us closer to each other. We hope these books and conversations make a meaningful difference in your life. Thank you for listening and being with us on this journey. Hell yeah. I love that story.
Thank you.
It's one of the, I think the three that I was choosing from were a sex fantasy, something from A Little Stranger.
It's so good.
Because that's my favorite chapter.
I know you love that chapter.
By a mile. I've read it like 15 times. Because it reminds me of some of my other favorite books, which we'll get to. And I think the other one I had apart from was Third Space.
Oh, yeah.
And like all of these stories are wonderful together. But can you tell people why this one that you just read is important, the significance of it?
Yeah. This short little story is the first part of Skin Contact that was published. It was published on Smokelong Quarterly as flash fiction. And it's also the first thing I ever published.
That's crazy.
I know. I like couldn't sleep one night and I woke up and I just like blasted it out on my computer in the middle of the night and thought it was kind of funny. Yeah.
Did you write this when you were pregnant?
No, I wrote it before I was pregnant.
But, okay.
And I wrote a lot of Skin Contact when I was pregnant.
Which makes sense.
Yes. I wrote a lot of it when I was pregnant, and I wrote some of it when I had, like, 6-month-olds, 8-month-olds. And before they were 6 months old, I didn't even, like, look at a word.
Oh, yeah. How could you? I think I had written, like preliminary notes. It's funny to go back and then like see that I filled around them.
Yeah.
From when I first read it. But because it was in the Pittsburgh hotel that I stayed at.
Yes.
I didn't even want to socialize. I just read
so
books
nice.
and
Yeah.
I finished it by the time I got home. But the quote that I had circled of the whole book here in this corner was, "The best part is the close and the grief and knowing I am getting what I want and doing nothing wrong." Something about that quote felt like it contained a lot of what is in this book.
Yes, I think it also embodies a lot of this character and too, like maybe just like I think it's funny that it's called a sex fantasy, but there's no sex, right? And I think that's something that people will be interested in when they read the book. There's kind of a lot of sex at the beginning, and then there's not so much sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it ends up being about the clothes and the grief and doing what I want and doing nothing wrong,
It's crazy how like that book could be, or this sentence could be the thesis of the book.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah.
Because yes, there is a lot of sex. And as I was saying, with like people thinking about coming to the event or not, I chose this book, and just for context, when people listen, you already know this because I like frantically emailed you about it. But when I heard, is it Reagan Arthur? Is that
That's
her
right.
name?
Yes.
The executive at Cardinal Publishing.
Yeah, that's right.
When she talked about your book, it was with such esteem and respect that even though it's a topic similar to Girl's Girl with Sonia, that like maybe I might not have picked it up and read it, I was like, I don't know. The way she's talking about it wasn't even the words. It was the feeling of Reagan's words. It felt like compared to every other book I heard pitched, this was the most sure bet that I was like, I have to read it. And so I picked it up and I went to the hotel and I was reading it and I was like, God, this is a lot of sex.
Yeah.
And like, it's a lot about like the first, few chapters. But the thing is, it was necessary to get to everything about, I think I wrote grief with a capital G, motherhood, disappearing, death in all caps.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of death. And that's also in that story.
Smokelong, who published it, they also do like a little author interview that they publish along with the piece. And at the time that that story got published, I had already written Motherlove, which is the first chapter, and that's very grief, focused. And I'd written a couple of other things just like about grief. And what the person asked me when they were interviewing me, this short story is called a sex fantasy, but it's really about death. And I read that question And I was like, no, it's not. I was like, this is the one that's not about death. This one's about
I'm pretty sure
clothes.
everything you think about is death and
I
buying.
know. I didn't notice it though. Like I didn't notice.
It's funny.
And I read it, and it really made me. It really actually made me laugh. I was like, wow, yeah, this is really about death.
But I think that's why I was so drawn to this, is because if it were just about having an open marriage, like, I mean, to be honest, this book could have been really cheap. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of books like that surprise me in the way that they might grip me with the thing that, like, the superficial topic or maybe the overarching topic. That's not the thing that eventually gets me. I mean, even in that first story, when you're dropping the lines about the mother's death and then, you know, Ben talking about the hole that was left and trying to fill, it's like, then it got to the stuff that I love.
I'm glad.
With the intimacy of this book is overwhelming. And there were times where I was like, ugh,
yeah,
I'm uncomfortable. I'm like, these aren't real people. I'm not there, you know?
I gave an early copy to a very close friend of mine, and she read it really quickly and gave it back. And I said, did you like it? And she was like, I loved it. I also felt so uncomfortable because I felt like I was reading your diary. And I was like, yeah.
That's rough.
You know, partially, like, I think intimacy is like the main thing I want to explore in the book. And when we think of intimacy, I think like the lingerie industry made us just associate like intimates are about sex, right?
True.
Intimacy is sex. But I wanted to think about all of these forms of intimacy and like, well, I was going to say women's friendships, but I actually think there's like a strong male friendship in the book. And
totally.
Especially like the physical intimacy of motherhood is really present. And I think something that we don't think about a lot is like how physical relationships that aren't sexual can be.
You know, the story that got me with the intimacy of motherhood was when you flash back to Rose leaving Peter and going to her mother's house, and when she hugs her daughter and she's crying in her, and then the feeling when the embrace is over.
When she lets go.
That shit wrecked me.
Thanks.
But I think that's the stuff that that's your gift as a writer.
Thank you.
It's like, yes, you're advancing the story, you're telling about all these webs of relationships, but it's those moments that I remember most from this book.
That's so kind. I'm just so happy that that's what you took away. That makes me feel really good.
And I mean, you see, I've written so much. I handwrite stuff because I just want to remember it. And but I had to read the book 3 times to even catch all the things that I wanted to. Because, you know, on the first read, you're going through it almost as quickly as, because you're just like caught up in the story. But as I went back, I was like, your gift of a writer is those both, I mean, the emotional impact of the statements in the moment where you just like stop reading for a sec to just sit with that. But then it's the lasting memories of these scenes where like sometimes I'm like, nothing else around that moment mattered, you know, with the mother and the daughter. Cause I was like, that's the whole thing right there. And so, and I, as I told you on the phone when I was in California, Alice Martin's book, Arena Shaw, Every Happiness, Girl's Girl, Sonia Feldman, Tara Minon's, Tara, is it Tara or Tara? Dang, I should have remembered that. I hate mispronouncing people's names. Underwater. All of these are centered around female friendships and in some ways motherhood too. And so I've just kind of been on this kick where it's really satisfying to have all of you write about similar themes. But yours, starting with the open marriage as the way to explore grief and death and motherhood, made it stand out from the other ones even. And so, it's just been a joy to even talk about this book to people before it comes out. You know, like I'm stoked that you're coming to City Lights.
I'm so excited. I'm really excited.
It's just, it was lucky.
Yeah.
And I come to these meetings and just sit with people, and that's all I think about is just what luck.
Yeah.
That I'm alive at the same time as you. That I was
there
to receive Reagan's endorsement of your book, and that I was smart enough to listen and then just go read it, you know? Yeah. Trust the intuition. And so before we get to everything, I want to get you your gifts. And thank you for writing this book.
Thank you for gifts. This is so kind. And
So there's specific reasons for these gifts from 2 different pieces of work that you did. This one is because of the chapter A Little Stranger. This is a direct... I mean, I was laughing as much at that story as I did at this book.
I'm so excited.
And the stories in this collection, another North Carolina author, you are going to devour this. As a millennial, too.
I love millennial bullshit. I love funny stuff. I love this cover. Beautiful. This is The Computer Room by Emma Ensley.
So, Emma is an author in Asheville. I mean, really, she's a graphic designer. And she drops this banger of a short story collection, shouts out Lob Lolly Press, another indie press in Asheville. And this is the preeminent millennial early internet book to help you understand us as a species.
I'm so excited to read this.
And as I was reading A Little Stranger and laughing my ass off at the journalistic, nonchalance, it's not formal, right?
Yeah.
That's one of those stories that kind of veers off a little bit, and you're going into Annie's world, who's a friend of the protagonist, the main couple, and it's just so funny, even though it's serious.
Thank you.
And so, there's a story in here where there's a 9-year-old who pretends she's a mother of 4.
I just read this, a pregnant mother of 4 on a baby name message board. I'm so excited.
And the Sims are all throughout this, and what the Sims were to,
Sims.
Friendship, people hanging out, playing the Sims.
That's a big Sonia Feldman, too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're having a moment.
I'm just going to say this right now. If anybody listens to this, Sonia, if you listen to this, please respond to my inquiry. I will come to Cleveland. We're going to have the best time. You just don't know that we're going to be friends yet. But I have to complete this. I can't not interview her.
Yes.
Because I know Emma. I want Emma and Sonia to be friends. And in fact, Sonia, if you want to come to City Lights, I will have Emma interview you. Dude. And y'all can hang out. But The Computer Room, oh my gosh.
I'm so excited.
It's an electric.
I love the cover.
It's incredible. Every story is really good. So that's one of them. The second one, let's see. Oh, I think I already mentioned this author. And this is because of, again, this string of PhD to novelists and writing about love and romantic relationships in interesting ways that I'd never read before.
Okay. The End of Romance by Lily Meyer.
So I first read Lily because Ashley Bryant Phillips told me about a short story collection that Lily translated. She's a fantastic translator, and it's called Little Bird. That's really good. After I loved that, I picked up The End of Romance because this had just come out in April. And it is this woman who is trying to philosophize her way out of falling in love with anybody. And that's
so great.
That self-work is supposed to end up being her dissertation. But then she's realizing that she can't philosophize her way out of love.
Yes.
And then her whole dissertation falls apart. And I just feel like you'd appreciate this as someone...
I appreciate that, hearing that description so much.
And so it's the complexity of loving more than one person. And then who do you pick? And then what happens? She takes a lot of, true philosophers guide her whole thing of her private life will never be public.
Yeah.
But how can you possibly do that, right? And then she lives with this guy who's basically seems like her husband, but she doesn't want him to meet the family, right? And then she meets this other guy who she has different feelings about, and it just gets so complex, and she essentially talks herself out of her own dissertation topic.
This sounds so good. It's incredible. Yes, I can't believe I don't have this. I can't believe I've never heard of it.
I knew this would be a hit for you.
I'm so excited. And this blurb, Emma Copley Eisenberg, who I love. If Grace Paley and Miranda July had a baby, I'm like, okay, I would pick it up.
It's in your realm.
That sounds so good.
And like you, Lily's just a smart person. So again, I don't read romance, but I love stories.
Yeah.
But I need an angle. I need a kind of story that feels like I could relate to it. And this is a mess, and it's a great mess, and it's an intellectual mess, but it also says a lot about disappearing as a woman.
Oh,
and what that does to you, and
I love it.
why you might respond in extreme ways to men and traditional romance.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to visit Lily in a month. And I can't wait to do that.
I'm so excited.
I'll probably give her your book, to be
Please
honest.
do. I'm so excited to read this, and I hope that she will read mine too. That sounds so good.
So this one, and I saw the book for the time being.
Yes.
This is because I read your dissertation.
You read my dissertation? You're one of the 3 people who have read it?
So the reason I got you this is because I did read that, which is, what is it, Domesticating the Apocalypse?
That's the one.
This
I'm so
probably
excited.
wouldn't be a book that could replace any of the 4 that you chose.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know if it's a 1-to-1 for the list, but what you were talking about, what you wrote about in that dissertation made me think of this book. And I think it's the most important Appalachian eco literature ever written.
Amazing. Strange as this weather has been. I love the cover. I love the title. This is by Anne Pancake. Yes.
I mean,
Counterpoint Press.
this
Big fan.
The reason I would say it's not, because it's not really about domesticating as closely to like in the home as what you write about, but gosh, there are so many thematic strands that connect that work and the books that you were reading.
Yes.
And writing about in that dissertation. This is about living under the threat of, mountaintop removal and strip mining in West Virginia. And you get the perspective of everyone in the family except the husband. And
Silence.
so even though you have all these perspectives, the main relationship is between the mother and her oldest daughter. And this book actually starts with pregnancy because she has to leave college.
That sounds so
because she gets pregnant.
good to me.
And I mean, I'm telling you, like, this can be a depressing book, but
That's
to
okay.
me, I feel like if someone wants to die, this is the type of book that would make them want to live. It's
I
got
love
that. It's got that something to it, that vitality that, God, Anne is so good at writing about place and connection to it and what it's like to live under this threat and still do the day to day.
I mean, that's what I think is so interesting. And that's what I was so interested in my dissertation. It's
It was
just
good.
like how that's so kind. Thank you.
Like I hadn't read 3 of those books.
Yeah. Like what I wanted to think about is just these books by women writers. And I think they're probably books by any kind of writer about this, but I specified women writers who are like terrified about climate change. The weather is changing. In some cases, it's genuinely an apocalyptic situation is happening. And they are worried about cleaning their kitchen and monitoring how big their stomach is getting in pregnancy or like keeping measurements. And I think Louise Erdrich said that she's flipping pancakes to stave off the apocalypse.
Yep.
I love stuff like this. I love stuff like this.
and yeah, it's like you're aware she's writing about, because Anne came from a non-coal family, which is rare in West Virginia. Her family farm from the 1700s, the Pancake Family Homestead, is in Hampshire County, which is the first county in West Virginia and has never had coal. So she's not apologizing for coal because she doesn't care about the impact on family or anything.
Sure.
So her father was an anti-coal preacher. And so she lived in Hampshire County, but she also lived in the heart of Coal County in Nicholas County. So like this is an anti-coal, very overt climate change book, but she doesn't talk about it that way. It's through the eyes of the mother and these children, and then some other side characters that come in. There is one chapter in particular that I had her read at the beginning of her Books Off the Bed interview that, I mean, it blows my mind that someone
I'm
could
so
write that
excited
chapter.
to read it.
It's so tender, and it's this mother who is trying to figure out, and also like she's older. She remembers West Virginia before it was carved up. So she's longing for beauty that she's seen be desecrated, but the kids grow up just with the anxiety of knowing all the mining that's around them and what could happen, these black floods,
Yeah.
So they don't remember the beauty. They just are growing up in the dull terror and anxiety. So,
yes.
I mean, so there's a lot of like bike riding and then kids like exploring to see the slurry ponds and like love stories, all this stuff happening right under the mountain that and it's closing in on them. So
I love that. And that's just how we do experience these tragedies, right? Like there's a few people in the world who like are scientists and like they are really doing it the big way. But like pretty much we're all experiencing it by being like, I'm going to go on a bike ride and like, I got to meet my friend because he owes me $5. And then you're seeing, the ravages of the earth.
And then you come home and you read a bedtime
and
story
you come
to
home
your
and you read a
children.
bedtime story. Yeah, totally. And your
So,
mom is flipping you a pancake.
Yes, those gifts I feel like are going to be perfect for you. But the last one in particular, in reading your dissertation, the reason I do it, first of all, I like learning about things. Even like it might not be the most, obviously your novel's much more exciting. And,
it is much more exciting.
Because it's not academic. However, I learned about new books. Ruth Ozeki, like, first of all.
She's so good.
I'd never read Lori Moore.
Oh.
And so, I'm learning this, but also the parallels between that dissertation and this novel were strangely sharp. So in your dissertation, talking about some of these different books, this is Lori Moore's. You have quotes like, throughout Lori Moore's A Gate at the Stairs, narrator Tassie describes becoming a wife and a mother as a process of self-erasure.
Yes.
A way of going missing. Tassie includes herself in this horde of missing women because though she is unmarried and only what she calls a pseudo-mother, she has returned home feeling reduced, barely there. And then, Tassie's private experience of growing up as a girl, and thus living on the verge of her own disappearance into wifehood, is replicated on a larger scale in the novel's direction of the vanishing Earth, of the apocalyptic weather crises and species extinctions that characterize 21st century everyday life. And you could go on for that dissertation, but then we get to your book, and I started seeing these really direct parallels. I mean, the first year of the apocalypse was the year after we graduated from college. Because we were girls, we knew that growing up would always mean walking a narrow path toward thinness and defeat. And then when we were little, back then, we were hot, meaty things, and our moms were just a trace of scent in the air. When they got home, they'd smile and kiss us, and then they would vanish as they clicked out our nightlights. We had talked about that, how little they seemed to exist. Ben, talking about Frances, he wondered about it, how her mom's ghost was always housekeeping. Whether Frances ever noticed how often she put her to work. Ben talking to his friend Max, maybe because I knew she was married, talking about Allison. Mm-hmm. Another potential partner. Maybe because I knew she was married, some part of my brain shut her out. Max's response, isn't that what women are afraid of? That they stop existing when they get married. I really, after reading all this, I have to ask about it.
I genuinely, I'm sitting here, like, I feel like I'm about to cry that you, like, have read all of that I have, like, put my life's, like, work into. And, I didn't, I put 10 years into my PhD, and it's like, it's a joke how much no one reads them. I did love working on parts of it because these books are so powerful, and that is just something that I have had a little preoccupation with. I love finding it in books. I love thinking about it. I'm afraid of it. And yeah, I think it's one of the biggest themes of my book too, and one reason why the protagonist, Frances, is a ghostwriter.
That too. Yeah. I had a quote about what she was talking about, being able to, like, be a literal ghost of someone's life and, like, occupy someone else's space, thus not being herself. So, like, I'm just curious if you could talk about that exploration of that in there and why it ended up almost in every chapter.
I would love to. So on a level, I think of just from, if I may speak, like, theoretically first, and then maybe I can go, like, a little more personal. You can speak however you like. So something that I did as part of my PhD was I read, for my exams, I focused on 20th century American fiction. So I read all of the big, 200 books that are, like, the big 20th century American fiction books. And a ton of them are by, John Updike and Philip Roth. And I like these books. Like, it's like Rabbit Run is by John Updike. This is domestic fiction, but it's by a man. And he is in a marriage where he feels really trapped in his home. So there's a kind of tradition in, like, the 60s and 70s of these, like, great male adultery novels, and then Jonathan Franzen, like, kind of does it in the early 21st century with, like, The Corrections. These men feel trapped by their domestic situation, and they have affairs to, like, feel young again. It's a cliche, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a cliche that comes from, like, a real tradition of how we have thought about Americanness. And that's been associated with masculinity. And I am curious about, okay, what's going to happen to the domestic marriage novel when marriage looks really different and it's an open marriage or a polyamorous marriage? What's going to happen also when it's the sort of main filter we get it through is like a feminine filter, like the woman's perspective. And I think we have there's a ton of great 21st century marriage novels by and about angry women now. That's a big thing already. But I wanted to like put it really back in the domestic sphere and really think about to what extent are women offered adultery as a way to feel young again and alive again? Do we judge them in the same way that we judge the kind of male figure? Do we judge them differently? And what happens when it's like a very loving and respectful marriage? Like, is that on offer if it's not a secret, So just like from the perspective of like the type of novel it is, that's what I was thinking about. And just from a personal perspective, I think I've just always been really interested in this because like my mom died in 2020 and I had a complicated relationship with her by the time she died. But when I was growing up, I was extremely close to her. And
you even mention her in the acknowledgments.
Yes,
of your dissertation.
and the book is dedicated. Yeah, I do.
All the way back. Yeah,
all the way back. My mom taught me everything about loving books and loving reading, and I mean, I just wouldn't be here. And I'm like, it's very sad to me that she like isn't getting to see this. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and like she was an English professor when I was a baby. There's like some stories of me like going to Auburn where she was teaching as a toddler, like as a little baby because she like didn't have a sitter, and like in her English class.
That's wild. To think about.
And I know. And anyway, but then she became a stay-at-home mom, and I want to be like pretty clear that like this is sort of my narrative of her life. I don't know if she would say it this way now. I'll never know that. But like when I think about my mom, I think like, gosh, she loved reading. She had this career that she was passionate about. And then she became a stay-at-home mom to 3 girls. And she loved being a mom. My mom loved being a stay-at-home mom. But when we started leaving for college, she was really at a loose end. She really didn't know what to do and like didn't have a sense of purpose. A lot of her life became living through us and feeling that she had, like, I think disappeared from her life and from importance. And a lot of the ways that she had been taught to feel important were to like have a good marriage and be a good wife. And she was getting divorced from my dad and we were leaving. And this was very hard for her. And like something that I have struggled with in becoming a mom, which is fairly recent, I have 2.5-year-old twins, is like, how do I be myself and be the type of good mom that my mom was? And my mom was a good mom to little kids, to kids. And I want to be that kind of good mom and care about their passions. But how do I do that without feeling like I'm disappearing? And then as I started turning 30, a lot of my friends are talking about, like, oh, like, is this what I look like? We look in the mirror and we don't quite see the person we think anymore. We imagine someone different. We look different from our pictures and the way we think of ourselves. People respond differently to middle-aged women than they do women in their mid-20s, early 30s. So it's just kind of a part of something I've been curious how I would feel as I aged and in like kind of figuring out my own life path.
No, that's great. I mean, wow. And it's just interesting how much of this, even down to, I remember the scene of Frances going into the bathroom and crying. There's scenes of people looking in the mirror and realizing I'm not who I thought I was, or I'm not maybe how I feel inside. And that's something that, well, I guess there are some things like that. Willie Cather's Death Comes for the Archbishop.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
He's like, he wakes up, he's old now, he's about to die, and he's like, the only time I know that I'm old is when I look in the mirror. Sometimes I forget that I'm old. But it's a different experience for women. Yeah. To have that, I think it's aging.
Like socially different, culturally different. But yeah, I think it is universal. I mean, when we all think of ourselves, I mean, I think the picture of me in my head doesn't look like what other people see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it is something that I feel like is not, it's not a insignificant thing either. That conflict between how you feel inside and how you look can really fuck you up.
It really can.
And then you're like, it's because it's literally like there are two people that exist, two versions of you.
And like, I think.
And they only see one.
Totally. Yes. And even if you have like the easiest version of that, which, right, is just that like you're 30 and you have a wrinkle. Like if your gender identity is set, like you feel pretty, like even the easiest version of it is like kind of altering.
Yeah. I mean, I remember even like, no shade to my mom, I appreciate this, but when I had to shave my head in grad school, she's like, oh, would you want to get like hair plugs or whatever? I was like, no, baby, I look beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? But it's those types of things that outwardly, like, I didn't feel ashamed of that. I didn't think I would look worse. But then you're like, wait, is everybody going to think that I should have hair still?
Totally.
Like, this is who I am.
Yes.
Now.
Oh my God. No, totally. And like, when are you going to get your figure back after you have a baby? When are you going to like, like, what do you mean?
Get it back. That's gone.
Yeah, get it back.
I mean,
yeah.
Your whole...
There was never like one static thing.
This is reminding me of that. I mean, it feels like you were working this out when Rose comes home and her mother's saying, you can't leave Peter, right? There's an affair. A man has an
in
affair.
Publishing.
I mean, it's too spot on. That's again, it's also overwhelming and uncomfortable because there's too many things I recognize. I'm like, oh God. But yeah, and it's a very strange thing to witness for her too, the way it goes down.
Yeah.
With like the mommy issues.
Yes.
Everything is about mommy in this book, and death.
That was the original title of the book, was Mommy.
Whoa.
Yes.
Man, good thing that was through my head the whole time. I was just like, that was the word.
Yep.
But you're working this out because Rose is like, clearly this is it. We can't come back from this because it wasn't an open, loving, maybe we start seeing other people and still be together. This was the old way to do it, right? This was the traditional, my husband's going to do what he wants.
Yeah.
And the woman is expected to deal with it because they have kids.
Totally.
And her mom's response was, he was your father, talking about Rose's father, right? And then this is the father of your child. So then it just becomes like outside of their relationship, And so it just felt like that chapter was you working out exactly this. The women who will disappear because they feel like it's the right thing to do, but then regret it. I mean, and even the chapter where, Rose's mom, when they were younger, is driving to Vanderbilt to take art classes. I mean, all of this feels like just...
It's totally me working it out. And like one thing that I think that maybe people will read it and be surprised that there's these flashback chapters from Frances's grandmother and Frances's mother. But something that felt really important to me was to not erase them, to give them their voice, and also to really think about these 3 generations of women and how they thought about marriage. Like the grandmother stays in her marriage for the kids. The mother leaves her marriage because of adultery. And then Frances sort of is able to have the privilege of her, like, of her time period in her marriage itself to like open that marriage and explore it. And she kind of almost takes on the quote unquote like masculine role.
Well, but part of the reason I circled the last sentence of that chapter you read, the story you read at the beginning, is precisely because the conflict that eventually comes with loving, open husband Ben, who's really just going along with it because he feels bad that mommy died.
Yep.
And he can't make up for that. He's just but one man. So it's like, all right, well, I've never seen my wife happier. I'll like keep doing this because, I mean, he's such a loving husband that he himself is willing to just like kind of say what my needs are out the window right now.
Yeah.
And yet that whole thing of like, I can do what I want and, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yep.
That is not true. It is just something that is being presented to keep the marriage. So it's like interesting how then it flips. And now Frances, who is open about it. She's not secret about it's not having an affair. And then Ben does go along with it.
Yeah.
Up front. But it's those, maybe the best way to put it, it's not everything someone does is truthful.
Yeah.
Right? Like the agreement had secret motives.
And speaking of like the book that you gave to me about rationalizing yourself out of love or, romance, no matter what kind of type of marriage you have, no matter what type of relationship you have, you can't excavate feeling from that. You can't excavate mess from it. You can have a monogamous marriage. That's messy. You can have a polyamorous marriage. That's messy. People are going to make mistakes and hurt each other. And it really just is going to depend how you deal with it.
Well, and because when everything was sitting pretty and Ben wasn't falling in love.
Oh, yeah, then it was fine. Yeah.
Because I think that's how a lot of people look at
at
open marriages is it's fine until, because sometimes people, that's a question that always comes up. Because, the joke is that men who want to open their marriage are less successful at getting women.
Yes.
And then they regret it.
And then they regret it. That is totally the joke. It's like it's always the man's idea because he just wants to do what he wants with impunity.
But he's
But then
not
the woman
it.
is always more successful.
And so then he's like, let's close it again.
Yes.
But in this case, it's when Ben, who didn't want it really at all, but is not looking to fall in love,
and then
does. And then all of a sudden it comes out. And you have to have a conversation about why were we doing this in the first place. And yet, I still think, I go back to what Reagan said that drew me in is like, I guess I have friends that are in open marriages. Like I've hung out with people, but I've never read a novel that explored what it looks like when it goes well.
There's almost none of them. There's truly there's really almost none of them. That was a real motivating factor behind why I started writing. And I'm in an open marriage and I'm in a very healthy and good and happy open marriage. And I was working as a bookseller and was reading tons of books. It's a big trend. And starting in 2022-ish, there's a lot of books coming out about open marriage or however they describe it. All of them were depicted as something you get through or get over, or it ends up crashing and burning, or it's even a few of the memoirs that were the first ones to come out. It was an abuse tactic that a woman kind of fell for. And then what's sort of happening now? Do you follow the internet discourse about Lindy West's new memoir, Adult Braces?
A little bit. I saw the general.
Yeah, the general thing is that she is in a happy open marriage, but then the internet really, really thinks that she is not in a happy open marriage. So there's a kind of this tension between what she describes and the way it's perceived.
And I think part of it, again, from someone who was, I wasn't searching for a healthy open marriage book,
sure,
but was delighted because I love sad shit.
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
I'm sad all the time because of it because all I consume is sad stuff.
Yeah,
but I do want books that don't end in ruins. I want books that make me feel like there are the good things that come from struggle, and you don't have to be completely destroyed.
Yeah.
By something to grow from it, that it's something I think that people who are reading into the Lindy West situation, it's because I think culturally we're trained to see open marriages as ending in disaster.
Exactly.
The chapters where you have the friends ask questions or give thoughts at the book club or whatever. It's they're all thinking the same thing. Oh, you're just going to do it because it's before you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's all these
perceptions and we bring a lot of our cultural bias to it. And I didn't want to write a book that was no. It's actually way healthier and better and more open-minded to do it. It's not. It's just a different way to have a marriage, and it'll be just as confusing and messy as any marriage, and it can be happy or sad. I think people turn to, you say you don't read romance, right? I think people read romance novels because they have a happily ever after or happy for now ending.
Yeah.
I also prefer kind of a literary fiction, often with ambiguous endings or whatever, but I wanted to play with kind of some romance tropes in this book because it was, it ends with a wedding.
Of course. And there is resolution in some ways.
And I was curious how to bring those kind of healthy, happy to literary fiction.
Well, and another angle that I appreciated in this novel, speaking of like female friendship and some of the books I've been reading, like I loved Rena Shaw's Every Happiness because it's an immigrant story.
Yeah.
And it's two
She's such a
Indian
good writer.
young girls that end up in the same suburb of Connecticut. So like it's partly like understanding the cultural impact and what it's like to move and be isolated, but the friendship itself is so intimate. Like the heat from it is like emanating from the book, but it's not a lesbian romance.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of the girl, like there's a lot of these explorations of different kinds of love, even not even just obvious. This is romantic love between husband, wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or, you know, same sex. It's that almost unspoken thing that's happening between people. And in this case, I've been reading more about women.
Yeah.
But you do that in this book. Like there's another quote about disappearing that didn't have to do with love. It was when they were with Izzy and Liam, and someone asked about another woman that they'd known years ago. And the response from, I think it was Frances, about this other woman was, I don't know. I said quickly, she got married, I think. I tried to find her on Facebook or something a few years ago. I know, don't. Anyway, I couldn't, so she probably changed her name. That's the thing. Everyone acts like we're more connected than ever, but that's not really true for women. Girls just disappear into their husbands' names and we never find each other again. And that feeling of I'm lost.
Yeah.
We're all lost and we can't find each other is really sad. And that has nothing to do with these marriages.
Totally.
That's just women in general losing each other. And that feels with Lily and Annie, Frances and her, like it's all throughout it.
It's something I noticed on my own, just like Instagram, right? Suddenly someone would pop up and I would be like, who's that? And it's because they had changed their name. And now I feel it like even more keenly because suddenly I'm on my scrolling through my friends on Instagram. I don't see pictures of anyone I recognize because everyone only posts their babies.
Yep.
It's just pictures of babies. I'm just looking at like, you know, these kids, which is, I like seeing them.
Sure.
But like, I haven't seen an actual picture of my
it's
friends.
your account.
Yeah. It's
Who are you now?
Exactly. So it's just like something I'm just thinking about how easily we erase ourselves.
Well, and also just starting the story with Lily talking about being kids and, you know, hot, meaty things. And I'm not sure our mother has ever touched each other as much we like to touch each other, you know, and play and giggle. And then now, I mean, literally the physicality of female friendship is completely gone.
Yeah, it is.
And then you see them with a different name on a profile and it intensifies that longing. Because now you're not even the one thing that could keep you connected, which is seeing their face on a picture on Instagram or Facebook, is not even it. So it's like these just layers of loss and longing. This book helps me think about some things.
Thank you.
As a man, and maybe it's because all my best friends, like I saw 2 of them from elementary school 2 weeks ago.
I feel very lucky to actually have like a really strong and like ties to my like old friends. Like I just told you, my friend of mine will be in conversation with me in Nashville. But yeah, it's sort of the people who I was like medium close to, right? Just gone, just totally gone. It's very sad.
It's just really sad.
Yeah. And I think, I also think like I count myself very lucky. Like, I don't know if you saw this movie that Rose Byrne did this year, If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You.
Man, yeah. That shit wrecked me.
Same. It really wrecked me.
And I'm not even a mom.
I know. Yeah. I was like dying slowly. Like while I was watching
almost
it.
like, I don't know if I would have watched it if I was a mom. I liked being a dude.
Oh God. Luckily I like totally destroy myself like this on purpose sometimes.
It feels good.
It was a great movie. I thought she was amazing in it. Oh my God.
One of the most underappreciated.
It should have won every award.
Of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
She's constantly in bangers.
Constantly in
Whether
bangers.
it's comedy or drama.
Yes.
And that's since like, what was the movie she did with Heath Ledger back in the day? Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I'm horrible at remembering.
No, I don't remember either.
But you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're talking about. She's always been great.
Like 3 decades.
Yeah.
It seems like she's
And then we
been,
like just only thought of her in Bridesmaids for a really long time. But she is great in Bridesmaids.
She is fantastic in Bridesmaids. One of my all-time favorite movies. But it is interesting that the acclaim that she got is playing this role.
Yes.
Of a mother.
Totally.
In a psychological horror.
It's like a psychological thriller horror movie that also is just like such close perspective that you never even see the daughter's face because you're so in her head. Like, but, you know, watching that movie, I remember, like, I loved it. I watched it with my husband. And after it ended, I said, you know, basically, I thought that was a perfect movie. The only thing that didn't feel quite right to me was that doesn't she have a friend that she would be texting, or doesn't she have another woman that she could talk to? And my husband was like, I just don't think that you know how isolated people are. So I count myself very lucky, but I do think that, yeah, that's just kind of part of it.
I think one of the biggest failures of our society is our lack of attention to non-romantic relationships.
I know, same.
And the reason people feel so empty is they don't got no fucking friends.
I know, friends are the most important.
And there is less, like when I hung out with my friends from grade school, they know what I do for my job. Like, yeah, we talk about stuff that comes up, but by and large,
this is my joke.
We're listening to like Omarion and like all these throwbacks in the car on a road trip. We hiked to the top of the mountain and frolicked in flowers.
This is part of my regular shtick. I'm like, if you're my actual friend, I don't actually know what your job is. I genuinely like don't know what your job is.
I don't really care.
I'm talking about your job. I'm talking to you about like other stuff.
Because you want to feel, because who you were before a job is who you are to them.
Yes.
You're still 10 or 12 or whatever. You're just a grown-up version of that. And so despite the changes, physically, distance, you know, it's like when you're with them, that you returns. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it never left, but it's the thing that comes out.
Yeah.
It's the most essential mat with my friends.
Oh, totally.
And I think that movie is a cautionary tale of what happens when, and it might not be intentional. I don't think every man is out to isolate a wife.
No, certainly not.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
And I do think, though, sometimes it happens, unfortunately, too much. That's a nice tactic to make someone completely dependent on you, and why a lot of women can't leave, even with infidelity or anything, because I don't got no job, I don't got no friends, I got nowhere. Yeah. And if they lost their parents, I mean, even in this book, in Skin Contact, you really cover a lot of ground. That's what's crazy. Is like Lily, it's not that she, I mean, yeah, maybe there's a pang of jealousy for Annie and like wanting love, but that's a friend looking out.
I think it's mostly a friend looking out. I think she's very worried about her friend.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think friends should be able to say like, hey, I've noticed that you, and even Annie talks about, I haven't talked to my friends really. Mm-hmm. And that's making me sad. And then when it comes together, you're like, oh, this is what makes life right. But yeah, I think this book is just another example of you can't just have one-dimensional lives. And that includes the people you love.
Yeah.
You need to love a lot of people, and not in the same ways. You don't need to have 5 wives or 5 husbands, but you need friends.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's like part of one reason too that I wanted to structure it the way I did is it's, yeah, like you say, quote unquote, an open marriage novel. But really it's about like openness to relationship in general. You know, some of the perspectives are people that have slept with each other, but mostly the perspectives are your mother and your friend and your old friend.
When I love the line that Frances says about Ben feeling like home.
Yeah.
And that's maybe a good way that a lot of people can feel like that in their own way as the people you love in your life.
Yeah.
It's that sense of home, that you can just be yourself. That can happen with a husband.
Yeah.
That can happen with your friends. That can happen even with people who like, I don't know, you're a regular somewhere.
Totally.
And you love the comfort of just like being close to this person. I have tons of crushes at places of just like, I love this person's energy.
Yes.
I will make up a reason to go there. So I can talk to them.
We talk about that. In my friend group, we have a tradition of picking a Carrboro crush. I live in Carrboro. We have a Carrboro crush. You always have to have one. It's just someone who like works at the coffee shop or like someone you see a lot at the bar and you're like, yeah, it's just my Carrboro crush. I just like to see them when they're there.
This is just, it's such a delightful book.
Thank you.
I'd say it is the surprise of the year for me.
Thank you.
Last year, it was The Longest Way to Eat a Melon. And funny enough, I just interviewed that author a couple weeks ago.
So great.
But I love finding these books that I think the staying power of this, I think it might even be later on that this book starts to to mean even more. When
Thank you.
it might be a slow burn,
Yeah.
but I think as people read it, they're going to share it and they're going to recognize the depth of intimacy and feeling and all these things in life that they recognize in their own, even if they're not in an open marriage. You don't need to be. That's what's the beauty about it. It's and then you feel very like you get done with this and you're like, man, that was a satisfying however many hours.
Thank you.
Like you're just glad you did it. And I mean, bravo.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
So the Ruth Ozeki book is here.
Yes,
and
I was going to say.
that relates directly to what we were talking about in your dissertation. But if you don't want to pick that for a book on the bed, I understand.
Let's do it.
But do you want to start there?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I like when it just flows naturally into something.
Let's start with the two
that are from
my dissertation. This is the gate at the stairs. Look at this absolute.
That is an insane
monster.
amount of tabs.
Yeah. And then I think I can pretty easily flow it. Yeah.
Cool.
Do a flow.
Well, let's start with these two.
Yeah, okay. I've picked two that I wrote about in my dissertation. And the first one is A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki.
I need to read this book.
You absolutely have to read this book. And I would give you this one, except for it's like ruined by my notes. I'm a real note taker. You must read it.
A true English student.
Yes, I am a true English student. So I want you to read this book because it is so beautiful. It is so unusual. It's kind of magical realism. And Ruth Ozeki is a Zen Buddhist. So there's some interesting Zen Buddhist meditations on time and being. Well, it's a tale for the time being. Okay, so it's about this woman, Ruth, who is a writer, and she's having writer's block. She's trying to write about her mother's life. Her mother has Alzheimer's. And she lives on this like remote beach with her husband, who's a naturalist, up washes on the shore with a ton of trash. So they get all this trash that flows out of the great garbage patches in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like old tampons. One time it was a severed foot. Sometimes it's just like, just like all plastic, right? And then she looks over one day and there's a girl's diary. And the cover of the book is the Proust In Search of Lost Time. But inside it's a girl's diary and her name is Now. And the presumption is that this was a girl living in Japan and the tsunami in 2011 washed the diary over to Ruth. So Ruth begins to read it and become obsessed with the fate of this girl. And it becomes kind of magical, but she really cares about this girl. And the novel trades back and forth between the Now's perspective in the diary and Ruth's perspective reading it.
And I remember reading maybe at the end that it was almost as if, there was some weird thing happening of.
She like goes into the diary and is able to like keep her father from killing himself. And so therefore like saves the girl and saves them from the tsunami. It's very weird and interesting.
Well, because I remember reading about how you were tying this all together at the end of reading and writing being a way to stay alive.
Yes, that's exactly my feeling about this book is that like Now by writing herself down into her diary is able to not only just like preserve the way we think about books, kind of preserving a sense of self, it very physically travels across the earth and connects with one person who then is able to genuinely save her life. And so it's this really beautiful metaphor. And the writing is just insane. I mean, it is so good.
Oh, the quotes that I circled from that dissertation were just
beautiful.
Constant. Almost all of them.
The writing is amazing. And you were talking about writing down handwriting. I'm really interested in handwriting because probably from my dissertation, I'll read this to you.
Yeah.
Print is predictable and impersonal, conveying information in a mechanical transaction with the reader's eye. Handwriting, by contrast, resists the eye, reveals its meaning slowly, and is as intimate as skin. And it's just this idea that like it is your true physical person that comes across in your writing, not just your ideas, right? But it's your physical self.
I love when these things have parallels. Like,
yes.
I mean, even that, I didn't draw on that when I was reading your book. And then
I just become obsessed with these things. And that's why I wanted to write about these books is I just liked them.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. And it's like the idea that when you're writing, you're actually, as you're getting closer to being finished writing, you're getting closer to death.
Yes.
But then at the same time, whatever you share is keeping someone else alive.
It's really, yes.
It's a circle that is necessary for us to survive. And especially in writing about the apocalypse, it seems that the reason this book was
this was kind of important to me in my dissertation is that one thing I explored in the dissertation was like the history of novel writing and how it connects to women housekeeping. And so quickly, like the first novels were evolved out of these things called conduct books, where it was guides for how a woman can keep house and be a good wife. When the printing press was invented, these were the first things. And so the first novels like by Flaubert or whatever. Like these also include guides.
Is it like
about how to be a good wife? So yeah, like
in the show Dickinson.
Oh my God, yes.
She gives Sue the frugal housewife.
Yes.
Because Emily's not going to be a housewife,
yes.
So she just like gives it to not her daughter, but the daughter-in-law. But that's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So these books, and so these first like novels that are about marriages, they are actually partially intended to show women how to keep a house and be in a marriage. So writing and keeping journals was something that women were taught to do as far as like keeping the budget of their household. So there's a connection between housework and diary writing.
Oh, you're going to love Alice.
I'm so excited.
I mean, we talk all about scraps.
I was listening to the manuscript consultation.
Oh my gosh.
I was listening to all of that. And I was so excited to meet her. And in my dissertation, what I was thinking about was then how are we rethinking teaching people how to keep a house and make a house and exist in a world that's getting messier and damaged and dying. What is the role of the novel in teaching us how to preserve life and be mothers and keep a house? So this is all a little heady. And
I love it. But this is why I was glad you brought these.
Yeah.
Because I'm even thinking now at the beginning of the dissertation when you're talking about this book, this just hit me. How her husband essentially made her feel as if writers are useless at the end of the world.
Yes.
And naturalists are still important.
Yes, that's part of this idea.
So it's like a type of erasure.
Yes, exactly. And has writer's block, so she's not like able to produce. Her mom has Alzheimer's, so she's forgetting herself. And the husband is important because he's a naturalist.
Well, because you're a writer.
I'm a writer.
In the 21st century.
Yes.
You have to be thinking about your own role as you're reading this book and being like, yo, fuck that guy.
Yeah, totally. We are so important. But, it's one of those things that I feel I don't want to be like Pollyanna-ish. Like, this is a theoretical idea that I very much believe in.
Sure.
But I also don't want to ever be the type of kind of Pollyanna-ish person that's like, reading books is the best form of resistance, or writing books is the best way to preserve a world. Like, I am very much please be out on the front lines and organizing and doing work. But it is a way, and it's a way that's important to me personally.
I'm wondering, do you remember where that quote about
Probably.
Writing preventing suicide is?
Yes.
Could you find that? I really want people to hear this.
Gosh, I hope I can find it actually.
And you can take your time. I mean,
this is a conversation that Ruth, the writer, is having with her naturalist husband, Oliver. She's talking about reading the diary. Oliver sat on the edge of the mattress and put his hand on her forehead. The eternal now. She wanted to catch it, to pin it down. That was the point of writing or of suicide. I've always thought of writing as the opposite of suicide, Ruth said, that writing was about immortality, defeating death, or at least forestalling it, spinning tales to forestall her execution. Yeah. Right?
But it's like, yeah, and then as a writer, you don't want to get to the now.
Yes, exactly.
Because it was, in talking about the journal, it was once you were done writing the journal and you got to the now.
She gets to the now, and that's when the pages disappear. And this is when the magic has to come in.
Right. That's where I was like, all right, I'm reading this.
It's so good.
Just got to happen.
Like, also, if you're listening and you haven't read this and you think I have spoiled it for you, I promise you I have not. There's like so much here.
No. To me, it's just an entryway into the story.
Yes.
And I mean, yeah, I liked all of the books you talked about, and I'm a big Louise fan. So obviously, I mean, that was the only one I'd read. but hadn't read that one. Also hadn't read Lori Moore. Do you want to bring this in now?
Let me bring this in.
Because I quoted a lot of those because it tied so much into your novel.
I love this book so much. This is A Gate at the Stairs by Lori Moore. It got really mixed reviews. Basically, every novel that I love gets really mixed reviews. Some people think that Lori Moore is a little punny and messy and like too funny. I think she's very funny in a very good way.
Oh, because you write about the literalism of...
Yes, of the jokes. Like she does this literal,
Well, see, made me attracted to it. I was like...
I think you'll think it's very funny. I find it hilarious. So this book it's a 9/11 novel, a book about a Midwestern girl, Tassie Keltgen, and it's a Jane Eyre.
Very Wisconsin.
Yes, it's a Jane Eyre update. She basically is in college and she's in the big city for college, but grew up on a farm. Her brother is like still on the farm, but ends up enlisting in the army right after 9/11.
Right.
She begins working as a nanny for like an upscale restaurateur who uses her father's potatoes, but like, makes them fancy and upscale.
Yeah.
And they have an adopted Black daughter. And Tassie becomes the nanny. So it's about
pseudo-motherhood.
That's her pseudo-motherhood. It's about race. It's about 9/11. It's about disappearing farms in the Midwest. There's like a lot going on, and it's Jane Eyre. It is just so funny. And to me, we're talking a lot about girlhood and women's friendships. This was the first novel, and this will tell you about how many books about just like only men I read growing up and like in college. This was the first time I felt really connected to a depiction of girlhood. I love this character, Tassie. She has these funny moments with her roommate where I think she says at one point that they're laughing and they can't stop laughing. And she had no memory of ever seeing an adult woman laugh like this.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's just this like really beautiful, funny, interesting writing.
And you can tell how much you love Tassie's character, even in the academic writing.
I bet. It's hard for
you. Her voice in so much, and hence that's why I was so magnetically drawn to that character, even through your writing.
Yeah.
With the whole notion of, again, girlhood as being on the verge of...
Yeah, she's very feeling on the verge of womanhood. She sort of is watching from within the house. She's watching this adult woman, Sarah, who she's nannying for. And she's always kind of taking note of little things that Sarah does, like, oh, that's how a woman behaves, or like, that's how I will behave one day, or like, this is how you should behave. It's sort of her guide to womanhood. And she kind of, because she has this kind of strange relationship with her mom. So she's watching Sarah like very closely. And it's just really interesting. And it's, of course, a 9/11 book. So there's a ton of grief, like on the kind of country level. I hate to just keep spoiling things, but so stop listening if you don't want a spoiler. But her brother dies overseas and they get him back in little pieces. She is so overwhelmed with grief that like at his funeral, she gets into his coffin and just lays in there with the little pieces of him, and she says he's like a salad that hasn't been like fluffed up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just this really weird,
so messed up,
so fucked up, like sad, beautiful writing, actually. And
I love a good funeral story.
Yeah,
whether it's through film or
I do too,
or writing, because making it weird almost eases your ability to confront death,
I think you
to
have
that
to.
strange
and it's the strangest thing to encounter, right? The most uncanny thing,
especially that
yeah. I think they like couldn't find his foot or something, it's like all these things, but it's a beautiful book, and despite how I am describing it, I like laugh out loud at it. It's very funny, and I just recommend it so highly. It's like a very good domestic story.
When did you read this for the first time?
I read this for the first time in graduate school.
And that was the first?
This was like the first time I really was like this, outside of like maybe some of my young adult like reading, that I was like, this is girlhood. And I was kind of insufferable. Like I was insufferable. I read a lot of like on the road. I was like into On the Road and like these kind of like big, like I say, I know a lot about like John Updike and Philip Roth. And I had read, I've always loved Jane Austen. I've always loved Wuthering Heights. I've always loved Jane Eyre. So I sort of have these like good models of like classical womanhood, but I just sort of didn't ever get exposed to or feel seen by these kind of books about like girlhood and contemporary womanhood.
Do you think any of that had to do with Decatur?
It was like hugely my curriculum. Yeah, hugely it was my curriculum and like what I was taught. I think a little bit too that it's like where my generation was socially at the time of like, cool, we did feminism. Now we're equal, right? It's okay, right? Ha ha ha. I extremely do not agree with that anymore.
Don't you even drop a line in your book
that
says,
I make
I'm
fun
a feminist?
Yes, I like
why you're no longer being tidy?
Yes.
Speaking of housework, that whole chapter was...
I feel like there was a little teeny tiny Obama era moment where those of us who were white privileged women who were 18 thought that like we don't need to be so militant about feminism, we don't need to maybe I hope I'm not only speaking for myself. I do think that I just hadn't been exposed to a ton of that in fiction, and it was a curriculum problem and a like what I was seeking out problem. So anyways,
well, you're gonna love the comfort of the computer room then.
Oh, dude, I cannot wait. And you're going to see every other book that I have over here is like girlhood. Well, I just saw them. Yeah, I saw Girlhood. Like Hearts of Lover. It's like the thing I love reading about most now. And I think it's because like, I like seeing it from a more historical lens that I like kind of grew up reading and seeing how they, inflect with one another. But man, I love to just read about a girl. To read about a girl.
Are you going to pick girlhood as one of the six?
Let's pick girlhood.
I feel like we should just keep the flowing. I also have zero surprise about the Lily King being on here.
I love this book.
I haven't read it, but when I saw it, I was like, okay,
I'm going to have to pick that too. We're going to have to pick it. Okay,
so which one do we have here?
I'm going to do this one,
okay,
that one. So this is called Girlhood. This is by Melissa Febos. So this is essays, is nonfiction. Have you read any Melissa Febos?
No, but I know all about Melissa Febos and what she writes about. I just haven't.
I love her so much. I have read basically all of her work.
Makes sense.
She just wrote a great one. It's behind your head. The Dry Season, about her year being celibate.
That's the one I've heard most about recently.
I thought
it's gotten a lot of
attention. I thought it was excellent. I loved her memoir Abandon Me, about being kind of in an abusive relationship with a woman partner. Girlhood. This was another book. I read this with my book club, just my group of friends.
Sweet.
We are a book club, but really we're just friends. And, every now and then we use a book as an excuse to like hang out together. And,
it's a good thing to do.
These are just essays that she wrote about her experience of growing up a girl. And Melissa Febos has a really interesting lifestyle. She became a sex worker, dominatrix specifically. For a while, she is a gay woman, but she was working with like male clients. She had a like serious drug addiction for a while. She's been in abusive relationships, and she is just one of the most beautiful and intellectual writers. She's constantly like drawing these beautiful connections with like literary theory and poetry, and I just like think she's incredible. When I was reading this book, I just felt so incredibly seen by it. There's so much about the first time that she feels sexual attraction, when she like figures out that she's queer, learning to understand herself as a person through how others perceive her as a sexual being. It is just a beautiful book. Just a totally beautiful book.
Is there any particular passage that could give us some insight into the way Melissa writes?
Yes.
Because also I would love to know, because I haven't read any of her books.
So here's an example. I found the one I wanted to read earlier, and now I can't remember which one it was because I didn't
That's
make a
okay.
note. But let's just go here. oh gosh, this is going to have a German word. And so I'm sorry to Germans.
That's okay.
I don't know how to say it.
You're from Alabama.
Thank you. So this is called The Mirror Test. So she's writing about Lacan, but also herself. The story of the self will be written no longer by the child's anticipation or what she knows as inevitable in the Innenwelt. It will be written by a birthday girl with a greasy chin. It will be written by the men whose hands mold her into being. It will be written by the mother and father and neighbor and magazine and all who stand to benefit from claiming her. In Lacan's words, this moment at which the mirror stage comes to an end inaugurates the dialectic that will henceforth link the I to socially elaborated situations. The self becomes a collaboration with other people, a series of fantasies that lead to the armor of the alienating identity. Have you seen a suit of armor? There are so many pieces. Here is where a strange man named me. Here is where the girls stared at me. Here is the school report card. The plates clink and move together like one. The self underneath is invisible to others. We are completely alone inside ourselves.
Ooh. Heck yeah.
Right?
That's good shit. Wow.
It is so good.
That was a good one to pick.
Thank you. You can see why I highlighted it.
I love when people can just do that with words.
I mean, it's insane, right? A suit of armor. Like,
yeah.
I would never be like, that's a beautiful suit of armor metaphor, but it sure is.
This is like when I hear a rapper for the first time that's so good with wordplay where God. I like, how does someone think of that?
I genuinely don't know. I don't know how people do this. It's incredible to me.
You know, I also love that these books are so reflective of the importance. I mean, you're an English PhD. You've taught. Your mother made you a reader. Mm-hmm. But I think all three of these in some way are showing why it's important, how it helps us survive to read. To see ourselves in stories. It doesn't matter at what age that it comes. In some ways, it's like when it's later, it feels even better.
I think so.
And but it's just interesting that this is so reflective of you inside and finding that kinship through books, because you can't necessarily find it with friends sometimes.
I think, agreed. I mean, I think that I have felt some of my most personal relationships, right? With especially some of the characters I read as a child, and talking about the different little plates that make up your suit of armor. I feel like I have one for so many characters or books that I've read that get all woven together into a self. I have here, this is not going to be one of my books, but this is my copy of The Golden Compass.
I love that it has no cover.
Yep, it has no cover. I wish that you could see this, listener.
I'll take a picture of it.
Yeah, this is utterly destroyed. I read this and the whole trilogy, his Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, so many times as a child. And this is my one, and I still have it.
But look at that.
Yeah, and this was so important to me. And this is about a girl, a little a girl protagonist and her friendship, and it's also very atheist and very cool and good. Have you read this?
No, I haven't.
You must read these books. These are technically, I don't know, children's books, young adult. They're so good. I mean, they're so good.
When someone holds a book that many times that it's completely torn apart.
Yeah, it's totally torn apart.
You know that it means something,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yes. Okay, let's go.
Are you going to pick Lily King?
I'm picking Lily King. I'm going to pick Lily King, and then we're going to left field right into some James Joyce.
That's fine. Yeah.
He's going to be my token insufferable phase.
I think we have to go. Yeah. You can't talk about the amount of men that you read and then not pick one.
Thank you. I think so too.
But I'm curious about Lily this King. Because a lot of people have, at the bookshop, spoken positively about Lily King. I've thought about grabbing this off the shelf quite a few times and just have not. So tell me about why you love it.
This is Heart the Lover by Lily King. And I chose this one partially. Well, I chose this one because I do genuinely think this is my favorite of hers. But there's also some recency bias. It came out last year. I read it and it's so good. It's a companion piece with what I would have told you was my favorite of hers, Writers and Lovers.
Okay.
I think I've been reading to you some pretty poetic writing that I really enjoy. There's something about Lily King. Her writing is so much more spare, but it's just as emotionally affecting. And I've lately been reading for the first time some Colm Tobin. Gosh, he has an Irish name.
Oh, yeah.
Who wrote Brooklyn
I've never
and
read
Long
any of his
Island.
Stuff either.
So I just read Brooklyn and Long Island. And I loved it so much that I went to a concert with my husband, and I basically pulled him outside and just told him the whole plot because I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Wow.
But he too is just like, there's so much emotion and poetry in this kind of reserved, quiet language. And I'm so impressed by it. But so Lily King, I picked this book because it's a really strange form. It is about a woman. It starts, there's like 3 sections. So the first section is set in college. She's in college in the 90s. And it's about her first love that she has in college, and also about like discovering she wants to be a writer. And then there's a middle section that is told in the second person, which you almost never see. Like, you did this, you blah, blah, blah. The short little section of where this first love from college just comes and spends the night with her family, her husband and her 2 sons, because he's like on his way somewhere. Oh. He's at her house for one night. And then the back half is that she is visiting him in the hospital because he has cancer. And it is just, I think when I say like he has cancer and then I'm going to say I cried for like the whole second half, it's not because it's like sentimental or about dying. Like, there is just something so beautiful about the way that it's a story about a woman in her 50s, sort of just like living her life and wondering, what would that boy from college think about this person I am now? And what is it like to encounter him in this radically aged and altered state? And I have chosen a little passage because I do want to illustrate like just the fairness. And this is in this middle section. And I sobbed when I read this. And then I read it to my husband and he was like, why? And then I'll explain it.
We'll see.
Okay. So Heart the Lover is a reference to a card game that they play in college. And like the cards have different names. So there's like, I don't remember them. There's like Ace the husband and like Heart the Lover. I don't know. So that's what that's in reference to.
Good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the old boyfriend is visiting her and her husband and 2 sons. They're playing the card game. You grin at me. I do. I always forget the donkey. I can't help smiling back. Okay, the donkey, the parrot, the twins, the baby. And he's describing the card game here. How does he know? My son Harry asks me. Our friend Ivan taught it to us many years ago. I didn't know it came from Ivan, Silas says. That's the husband. Harry can't understand this. These years before him, before our family existed. He looks at Silas. You weren't there? Silas shakes his head. I didn't know them then. Jack, dealing out the cards, is taking in this information easily, but Harry looks like he would like to go up to his room and mull over questions of time and existence for a few hours. We fan out our cards. Silas keeps his low and close to the table. He's started to do that lately, hold things farther away to read them. You're making the little humming noises you always make when you're organizing your hand. You're left of the dealer, Jack tells you. Oh, excuse me, Silas? I could tell you were up to a little mischief. Yes? May I please have Heart the Lover? Yes, you may. Silas passes the King of Hearts face up close to you, trying to get you to touch it before saying thank you. I thought you might, you say, and reach for the card, and we get ready to scream. A half inch before you touch it, you say, thank you, and pick up the king with a flourish that makes the boys laugh. Silas, you continue. Yes. May I have Heart the Lover's wife? No, you may not. Well, you can't blame a guy for trying, he says. Silas and I chuckle, and Harry asks why that was funny, and now I'm the one who wants to go upstairs and ponder time and existence for a while.
Fuck me.
I mean, I know, right?
I just got the goosebumps.
It's so, it's just something about,
That's good.
It's so good, and it really is just kind of like, I wanted to ponder time. Like, it's very straightforward.
I think these types of writers, as someone who loves Eudora Welty and Willa Cather, give me someone who will turn what should be 3 sentences into 5 paragraphs. Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
I love people who just write beautiful shit and too much of it. Or to explain too much of what's going on at a dinner table.
Yeah.
But you can't live without that type
you
of writing
have to have this
where
type.
It's just so straight to it.
Yes. I love that. And like this, you're making the little humming noises you make when organizing. Like, she knows him so well. Yeah. And it's, even though she hasn't seen him in 20 years.
Oh my God.
And this, her husband shaking his head saying, I didn't know them then. And the son just not comprehending that his mother had this past existence, right? Without his father and without with another boyfriend. Like, it is, I think, such beautiful writing and just a beautiful story.
You know what this is reminding me of now? Another moment that got me goosebumps from Girl's Girl, when the main protagonist of the three friends, she has a fraught relationship with her mother, as many teenage girls do. And she's looking at all these pictures of her mother from the past that like are always there on the mantle or in the hallway or whatever. And it was then that she considered that her mother had all of these memories she actually lived.
Yes.
That they weren't pictures that were there for her to say, oh, like my mother exists. That like she had never considered that was a real thing that her mother was that age in.
Totally.
Like that was a real experience. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so it's
totally.
like when a kid has that realization, there's something really powerful about that.
There is.
And it just, that just hit me.
Yeah.
That I had the same type, like, because it's in so few words, that's where all of the power of that language of to consider time, like.
Absolute time and existence.
Don't explain it to me.
Yeah.
I know what you're, I know exactly what
it's
you're
just
feeling.
not explained. And like, I am an over-explainer. I mean, I would have been like, let me describe exactly every emotion that this person is feeling in like 1,000 words. But I love this.
gosh.
I mean, I think this is incredible.
And I love books that are structured in such a way.
I do too. And I love an odd structure.
Yeah, I don't. And that's why, I loved your book. I wanted to go back in time and know what the parents and the grandparents.
Yes.
And, just to understand the history of what we're reading now. Gosh, that's so, oh my God. Another book I have to read.
I know. I'm so sorry. And you should read Writers and Lovers too, because they go together.
Okay, fine. So are we going to take the left turn now?
Let's take the left turn. Okay. This is Ulysses by James Joyce. Because I'm an asshole, this is like my favorite book. I love it so much. I ruined this copy. And
that is some serious highlighting.
yes. So I went to college. I knew I wanted to be an English major. And I knew I wanted to do contemporary, like as modern and contemporary as I could get. And my college, like, basically had no contemporary literature. It was like, it's Sewanee, right? So it was like a very like historical Shakespeare-based education. And there was one class being taught my freshman year that was like modern, and it was just a James Joyce. It was a James Joyce seminar that was reserved for juniors and seniors. And I just like lobbied myself for like a whole semester, and I was like, let me in this class. Like, I just really want to be in this class. So I took it. It was just like one of the best experiences. We read this book for the whole semester, and we had read a guide along with it. And I didn't even actually remember this. Well, I remember this very well, but I didn't think about this when I picked this book for right now. But my mom read it along with me in the class. So we would have a weekly phone call, and I sent her my syllabus, and she read along every chapter that we were reading it. And then she and I would talk on the phone all about it because she had never read it either. So we loved this book together.
That's so special.
Yes. And you think about Ulysses, and it's like so dense and so impossible to read. And like, yes, it is really hard. I do think you have to read it with like a companion guide or like a class.
Yeah, really good teacher.
I had a really good teacher. It is some of the most universal, I'm aging, I'm confused about my marriage, my mom just died type of thing. I love it. I love it. I just like see myself in it, even though it's this like big, fat, classic literature monster. Like, I think it is so beautiful. I've read it many times, and I wonder if I can read a little part of it.
Yeah, if you can find something good. It's so interesting to see how different these stories are that you feel connected to.
And I feel like, they're so different, but
Melissa Phoebos to Ulysses is pretty crazy work.
Oh my God, look what I just found in it. That's my mom holding me as a baby. I just found this picture inside of this book, and I didn't know it was in there.
My God. Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, this is important to me from a like when I read it and what I was doing. But it's also like all these books are very different, but this is just another book about aging and contemplating like your life and what you've done with it, and like just the small things that you're doing around town and feeling isolated. And Where is this dang thing? I'm so sorry. Let's find it. Here we go. Okay, this is what I wanted to read to you. So this is, can I read Ulysses aloud on your podcast? Is this like the worst thing you've ever experienced?
No, it is exactly what it needs. No one's done it yet. And so it's a necessary component now.
So this is Leopold Bloom. He is in what he thinks of as his midlife. I think he's in his late 30s. Like, lol. He loves his wife, and he thinks his wife is having an affair. They haven't had sex since they lost their child. And it's kind of discovered later on that that's not her decision, but like his decision. Like, he's so in grief for his child, his son. Yeah. Anyway, this is him in a bar, and the other men there don't connect with him very well. And he's just thinking. And so he's remembering this first kiss that he had with his wife. Okay. Glowing wine on his palate lingered, swallowed, crushing in the wine-pressed grapes of Burgundy. Sun's heat it is, seems to a secret touch telling me memory. Touched his sense, moistened, remembered. Hidden under the wild ferns on Howth, below us, bay, sleeping sky, no sound, the sky. The bay purpled by the Lion's Head, green by Drumlick, yellow-green towards Sutton. Fields of undersea, the lines faint brown in the grass, buried cities. Pillowed on my coat, she had her hair, earwigs and the heather scrub my hands under her nape. You'll toss me all. Oh, wonder. Cool, soft with ointment, her hand touched me, caressed. Her eyes upon me did not turn away, ravished over her. I lay, full lips, full open, kissed her mouth, yum. She soft gave me in my mouth the seed cake, warm and chewed. Mawkish pulp her mouth had mumbled, sweet, sour, joy, I ate it, joy. Young life, her lips that gave me pouting, soft, warm, sticky gum jelly lips, flowers her eyes were. Take me, willing eyes, pebbles fell, she lay still. No one. High on Ben Houth rhododendrons, a nanny goat walking sure-footed, dropping currants. Screened under ferns, she laughed. Wildly, I lay on her, kissed her, eyes, her lips, her stretched neck beating, woman's breast full in her blouse of nun's veiling. Hot, I tongued her. She kissed me. I was kissed. All yielding, she tossed my hair. Kissed, she kissed me. Me, and me now. I just
oh yeah,
it's so good.
That was a
just
great
like all the
today.
Sensation and his memory and the feeling of fullness, and then that sad ending where it jumps paragraph. It says me and me now. And he's just thinking of himself alone.
Ugh.
I know.
Also, I do love I remember the first time reading through your book, and then just when Francis and Ben are talking about that line, the wine eats well.
Yes.
And how that comes back. So there was some of that in there, it felt like.
I love this repetition. And it's like, it's kind of weird. It's not just like a kissy, it's kind of weird. They're eating something and then she was eating it and then it goes into his mouth. It's kind of gross and weird and I
love it.
Bodily. I just really like this book. For that reason.
Oh, yeah. I love that you picked that. And again, it's because I think what the joy of this whole project is, no one has picked these books. And it's really cool to see just who someone is come out through sharing of these books.
Yeah.
And you can't make this up.
I know.
We're talking
I had
about
no idea
how mommy
I know.
everything is.
And look, this was me. We're wearing matching to describe I'm maybe 18 months old.
What year is that? Late 80s?
This must have been maybe 1990.
Oh my God.
I was born in 89, so I look like I'm 18 months old.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're the same age as my brother.
We're wearing matching floral dresses. There's pink balloons everywhere. This is my grandmother's house. My grandmother.
I was going to say that looks like an old person's
house. This is my grandmother's house. And
how do houses become old person
I
houses?
don't know.
There's no way they look like that when they're built.
I think about this all the time. I'm like, when will I have an old lady haircut? Well, I just have this haircut, but then old ladies just all have this haircut.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
But yeah, I read Ulysses with my mom, and my mom's a big Irish lit person, but she's very classic. She loved Yeats. She's a poetry person, so she loved Yeats. She had never read Ulysses.
Well, and this got me to thinking about the moments in your book where Francis is, even in the one about tidying up with the bats, thinking the bats were
her mom
downstairs, or missing the voice of her mother on the other end of the phone. This is You used to have phone calls about Ulysses. That's crazy.
We had a phone call always about Ulysses. We were always talking about it.
That's
and
so
it was just really,
special.
it was a really special thing that we did together.
And it's, those are the things that when you look at the memories of your relationship with someone, it's like you're just glad you had that.
Yeah.
What a thing to be able to connect on, especially at a time where you're now in college,
Yeah.
right? It's a connection point.
It was like an early way that we kept connected. Like after I left.
About how much she struggled and how much that meant to her to be able to
do the class, to take the class with me and then to have the thing to talk about it. And she always thought I was so she really didn't like how all the body stuff, the physical and the there's a lot of shitting and fucking and whatever in this book. And I always liked that.
Well, it makes me think how she would respond to skin contact.
I know. I'm so curious what she would think. I think she would be like, what in the fuck? But she always really encouraged my, interest. She thought it was interesting and weird and cool that I liked that part of it. And she liked the more literary history of it,
That's what's great though about readers.
Yeah.
We should all embrace what we love.
Yeah, totally.
About books. And I always love when parents can, if not appreciate themselves, what their child loves, can appreciate.
Yeah.
That their child loves it and just say, because that means they're not thinking about them, how to make you like them.
Totally.
And that's
the best thing that you, I think, can do.
Because then you wouldn't have written this beautiful book had you not been able to.
Absolutely never.
Love what you love without feeling like you need to love what someone else loved.
Yeah. Never could have.
That's so beautiful. Oh, I love when these things happen.
Yes.
I mean, so you do have one more.
I do?
To choose. Yeah, because we've done 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh my God. Okay.
So this is 6. This is the last one.
Oh, okay. Let's go back to, I'll just keep recommending girly stuff.
I mean, we have to at this
Sorrow
point.
and Bliss. This is called Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason. This is my most recommended book. That's kind of why I picked it here. This is the book that I will just put into your hand. I'm just going to put this into someone's hand. And when I was working as a bookseller, this is the one that I was like, you got to buy it. You got to buy it. You got to buy it.
Why?
So this is about a woman who she, all of her friends, she's in her 30s. All of her friends either have a PhD or they have babies. And she doesn't have either of these things. And she's dealing with kind of an undiagnosed mental illness. She's very angry. She has a very hard time regulating her emotions. It's affecting her relationship with her husband. And she doesn't know why. And she's really desperate to have a child, but she can't seem to get pregnant. And also, it's so funny. I heard myself describe it and I was like, that sounds so dark.
There's a theme here, though.
Yeah.
Connection between your own serious shit that makes you laugh out loud.
Yes.
I kid you not. I was in the airport reading Little Stranger, that story, and people were probably like, what is wrong with this guy? And if they knew what I was laughing at, it would be even more confusing. But I feel like you love that dark funny.
I love dark funny. And
fusion.
And I think I told you this on the phone that the way that I chose my literary agent was several agents I met with suggested that I cut that chapter out.
Yes, I do remember that.
And the one who I ended up picking quoted it as one of her favorite funny lines.
That's when you know.
I was like, yes.
That's when you know. Shout out to your agent.
Yeah, she's
who
really
is also
great.
Sonia Feldman's agent.
Who's also Sonia Feldman's agent.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because, I just talked about this with Jacqueline Zongley Ross in Vancouver. The story I had her read from at the beginning to open the episode, she said she had to fight to keep that in.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And then it's once someone accepts that's, and it was the story of all the stories. You couldn't have the book without that story.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what idiot
I know.
thought that you couldn't keep that in? And who would want The Little Stranger out?
I love The Little Stranger. I did write that when I was pregnant. You can probably tell.
That makes a lot lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, that did feel like reading your diary.
I was really cranky.
Anyway, Meg Mason.
Meg Mason. We're here with Meg Mason. I love this book. This was sort of the first book I read. I read this in 2020-ish. This was sort of the first book I read that was of the sort of messy, angry woman genre. And this was right at the beginning of that. So I really hadn't read a book like this before with just a really unapologetically fucking up woman. And now there's a lot of wonderful ones, thank God. But it's a little bit like, I've read that now. But like, I had never encountered just a character like this. I think she's so funny and so good and so interesting. And I'll read this about having a child. So she has a sister who has 4 sons, and she desperately wants a child and has not been able to have one. I imagined more than what I'd been told, and whenever I imagined my damaged baby, a child damaged by the kind of mother I would be, I felt fear and worse, shame. And that was why I had been lying all the time to anyone, strangers, people at parties, my parents, to my sister as we gazed down at her swaddled baby in the darkness, to myself looking out the window on a 94 bus. I lied to Robert. He said, if you decide to become pregnant, and I told him I couldn't think of anything worse. And I lied to Patrick before we were married and every day afterward. My husband does not know that a child is the only thing I have ever wanted. He doesn't know that seeing my sister become a mother, a lovely, good mother, is like being cut open. And her conceiving so easily and having more babies than she wanted made it too wide to ever close. And I have hated her, sun, moon, stars, great love of my life, for complaining about all of it, her ruined body, the newborns who exhaust her with their crying, the toddlers and their constant touching and constant need, the cost, washing, always washing, and muddy shoes, the end of sex, their fingerprints on the windows, lice again, the night terrors, sudden fevers and fighting, the endless noise, and they make her completely useless because God, these perfect, beautiful boys, the best thing she has ever done. But you are so lucky. You probably use a basket. You probably didn't even know they sell toilet paper in 48 packs. There is nothing inside me except for want for a child. It is every breath in, every breath out. The baby I lost that day by the river, I wanted her so much, I thought I would stop being at the same time as her. I have cried for her every day since then.
Oh my God.
It's just so good. It's really good, honest, tough writing.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I find it like I read this before I had children, before I even knew if I wanted children. And I have read it since I have had children, and it just like hits me differently and even better, like every time I read it.
It's like a very fitting passage, too, for a lot of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it just kind of captures the sentiment, you know?
Yeah.
I love how completely unintentionally across 2 podcasts, one not even literary, like there were authors on it, my first one, but even, I forgot to say this at the beginning with your dissertation, one of the first dissertations I read from my previous podcast was by the English chair at Jackson State. And her dissertation was about 4 books written by Black women. It was called Of Mamas and Mules, Africana Mothering as Resistance.
I think I've read parts of that. I think I read parts of that dissertation when I was teaching.
I mean...
Yeah, I think I have.
So Ebony Lumumba shouts out.
Yes. One
of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. That dissertation blew me away. I mean, I'd never read Lorraine Carey, Buchi Emecheta, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie was on there. I'd read her books before. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the 4th one? But like, it was weird, the parallels.
Yes.
Different take on mothering, but they were both 4 books.
That is so cool.
On mothering. One from Africana.
I think I've read the introduction to that, I think, like long ago.
It's and that one killed me, how she wrote about her mother.
Somewhere in my memory.
But it's just, so I think that's what's delightful of having so many different kinds of authors write about motherhood and mothering or being mothered or missing their mothers, and so many books that come from that. This is really, I really want to read all of these.
You actually have to.
And I say this all the time because everybody I go interview, I know I'm going to be friends with. I don't interview people I don't want to really know.
Yeah.
And because I trust all of you implicitly about your taste, then I come away with 6 books, if not more, that I'm like, I'm not going to be able to read out all of these.
Yes.
But I think the ones that are going to happen this year, A Tale for the Time Being.
Oh, yeah.
Heart the Lover and the previous book.
Writers and Lovers.
And then Girlhood.
Yes.
I think those are the ones that I'm most drawn to.
It's a great selection.
Pretty soon. This stack is so good. And it's you.
It is.
Like only you could have chosen these.
It's just shit that I really love.
I mean, to think, young woman from Decatur, Alabama.
I know.
Becoming such a hit author that some random fucking guy in the Southern Appalachian Mountains.
I do feel amazed.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's very cool.
How are we here?
Oh, no.
Life is weird.
Yeah.
I'm so glad for it.
Me too.
This is why I love reading. We would have never met.
And
if you didn't write, I wouldn't find a story like this that,
I had to be that little kid, first baby in the picture, and then kid ripping it off the cover accidentally of that favorite book.
I mean, this is the epitome of this is what your life has led to.
Yeah.
And there's going to be so many of me. I think that's what's beautiful.
I know.
You're going to come to Silva and meet more
I'm
people
really excited to come
I know
to Silva.
Alice is going to love your book.
I can't wait to talk to her. I can't wait to read her book.
Yeah. This is how it goes around.
Yes.
You make these lifelong connections through you sharing and me reading, and it goes back to Ruth.
It does.
It keeps us alive.
I know.
So, I mean, this was great. I don't know if you're up for reading one more thing to close.
Sure, yes, of course.
Of yours?
Yeah, let's do it.
This one can be a little more, I don't want to necessarily choose for you. It can be of the ones that I...
Oh, God. My stack.
I can get it.
Okay.
You can either choose... Yeah, there were... I forget what the one from Third Space was. I kept coming back to it, and I almost felt like... Because it has the untidy list, it feels like it wraps this up really nicely. Does. But I don't know where you want to start, because I think I had thought that you would start to, in addition to being full of bats, but maybe that doesn't give enough context to where we are. You could start from the...
I can totally start at the beginning, and do you want me to start at the beginning and finish the list?
Go
all the way? Let's go all the way.
I kind of wanted to go to that.
I would love to.
Not all the way to the end.
Yeah.
But to after...
I can get there.
Because I feel like...
That's directly from my dissertation.
I know.
You probably recognize
it. So let's do that.
Okay.
So from 225, to the middle of 233.
Okay,
I love this so much.
Third Space. I'm so happy you love it. This is my favorite one, but... I woke up that morning tucked in and cozy to the familiar sounds of my house being kept. The suction cup squish of the dishwasher opening, the wooden whine of the hinge, and then the rhythmic clink, clink, clink of the plates being stacked neatly back in the right cabinet. That my mother was downstairs was a comfortable sensation more than a thought. But as I tried to articulate it to myself, the feeling faded, never fully captured. She was gone so quickly, and I was an adult in a messy house, just like that. It turned out I was hearing the fucking bats in our chimney, clacking and swishing and clawing. We weren't sure how long they'd been there, maybe since winter, but they'd been getting rowdy over the spring. The babies had become hormonal and loud, all cooped up. It was driving me out of my mind. We saw them swoop around the side of our house at twilight, giving it an ominous, haunted look. The area around our mantel smelled horrendous, a meaty, rancid smell that made me want to be sick. I was embarrassed to have friends over, but Ben told me it was barely noticeable. My sense of smell had gone berserk since I had become pregnant 8 weeks ago. Worst of all, they scratched the walls and rustled against one another behind the bricks. During the day, it was a little eerie. At night, it was alarming, indistinguishable from sounds an intruder might make as he jimmied open the door, sneaked up our stairs, and pressed softly against our bedroom door. It had woken me up more than once. Panicked, I had waited quietly and almost demurely to be raped and murdered. Ben always seemed to sleep through it, unafraid. I wanted them out. The bats were not my dead mom, and fuck them for pretending. But Ben had done some research. Bats mated in the fall, hibernated in the winter, and then gave birth in the spring. Bat pups weren't able to fly for the first months of their lives, so if we started the exclusion process, as Ben called it, per our local wildlife professionals, before late summer, we ran the risk of stranding the babies inside our chimney to die of starvation, abandoned by their parents. "I am pregnant," I had shouted at Ben more than once. "I don't care about the bat babies. I care about our baby, and I don't want them in my house." I had done my own research too, and had learned that they could give us rabies or histoplasmosis or Ebola, diseases that seemed to be very bad for pregnant women, and so good fodder for my argument. Ben said I was more irritable than usual. Maybe I was. When it came down to it, though, I didn't want the little motherless pups to die, and so instead of calling a wildlife expert, we had merely made sure our flue was sealed tight against them. Ben and I agreed that this boundary was an acceptable compromise, and I took out my anger on the invisible bats nevertheless, playing too loud music in the chimney to annoy them when Ben wasn't home, and sometimes knocking on the mantel like a cranky downstairs neighbor with a broom handle. I rolled out of bed, and the motion made me feel nauseous. I ran to the bathroom and got down on my knees, ready to throw up, but nothing happened. The nausea transformed again into a kind of low ache at the bottom of my stomach. I got up and peed. I was lucky. I hadn't experienced much morning sickness so far. When my friend Gina was pregnant, she was so sick she could barely function in her first trimester. She subsisted on a diet of plain, untoasted bagels. I got up, pulled my hair back, and washed my face. I applied my eye cream. I applied my sunscreen. I applied my moisturizer. I pinched my cheeks. I widened my eyes at myself in the mirror. Not drinking had helped my skin. I thought I looked a bit younger, my eyes a little less lidded and puffy. I smiled at myself in the mirror. It was important to me to look young today. Ben was at a conference, and his girlfriend, Allison, was coming for dinner. She was a few years older than we were, a fact that I held on to desperately to mitigate the fact that Ben had fallen in love with her and wanted me to love her too. Another home invasion. In addition to being full of bats, the house was also covered in papers. I was usually very tidy. More than one person had accused me of being compulsive about it. I typically made our bed first thing because the image of an unmade bed could stick in my brain all day, nagging at me until I returned home and made it, which I would, even if I were going to bed within the hour. After leaving the bedroom, I would take my first cup of coffee, Ben made the coffee, and walk through the house, making sure everything was in the right place. Throw pillows in their proper configuration on the couch, seltzer cans removed from the coffee table and placed in the recycling bin, coasters returned to their neat stack. A month or so ago, when I took on a new ghostwriting project, I abruptly realized I had stopped doing these things. I had been contacted by a historian who was attempting to produce a pop history book about how technological changes transformed the mid-century kitchen, and with it, the figure of the housewife. Her editor had twice returned drafts to her with the feedback that they were too academic for a general audience. She was hoping I could soften her research into living, breathing prose, readable and easy, like eating a chocolate chip cookie, she had said to me. But I'd found it more difficult to complete than I'd expected. All of the reading about kitchens had focused my attention on my own kitchen, on the plates that newly remained in the sink overnight. When had they gotten there? How long would they stay there? In the preface to Portrait of a Lady, which was my mom's favorite book, and so was, for a time, also my favorite book, Henry James describes the novel as a house, with 1,000 windows through which the reader peers in and spies on the inhabitants. The idea made me squirm. If the reader is a peeping Tom, then the author is a housekeeper, a woman, a mother, a compulsive tidier, who keeps the story neat and ordered and contained. A ghostwriter is a poltergeist, coming in and moving things around and hoping someone notices their presence so that they can feel alive again. I found myself as reluctant to clean up the manuscript as I was to clean up my own living room. I had no idea exactly when I had become so lax, if it was gradual or immediate. It just didn't seem to matter anymore where the pillows lay. It didn't seem to matter whether the sheet was folded down over the top of the comforter, pulled 1/4 of the way down the bed. I had a number of theories as to why this had happened to me. My therapist didn't like to hear my theories, laid out in bulleted lists. She thought I intellectualized my thoughts and actions as a way to distance myself from them, and so from myself. She was more interested in how I felt about the change. But what could I say to that? I felt nothing at all. I still felt at home, just like I were in a different kind of home. But I had always liked to make lists. My mom had liked to make lists. Sometimes growing up, I would wake up and find them taped to my bathroom mirror. Things like 10 reasons to skip school today and go to the movies with mom, or all the ways you're going to rock your math test. So I had made a list and stashed it in my bedside table. I pulled it out every now and then to add notes to it before bed. This helped me. Reasons why you've become untidy. 1. You're finally a feminist. Congratulations. 2. All of your organizational energy has gone from managing the home to managing your body. Monitoring calcium intake, getting enough sleep, limiting strenuous activity, etc. 3. You queered your marriage when you became polyamorous, so it follows that you queered your home. 3.5. Book idea, queer nesting. 4. You are depressed because you're going to be a mother without a mother. 5. You are depressed because your husband fell in love with another woman and you did not. 6. You are depressed because you are jealous and less open-minded than you thought you were. 7. You are depressed because, per 4 and 5, any control you thought you could exert over the world was an illusion, so why stack the coasters anyway? 8. You believe that if you seem less uptight and less rigid, you will be more lovable to Ben. 9. You are afraid of being a mother, so you are not behaving like a good mother. That morning when I went to the living room with my laptop to start my work, I thought I saw scratches on the edge of the fireplace, perhaps from before we effectively sealed the bats off and did nothing about them except shout up the flu. I sat down on the couch and picked up a stack of Ben's loose papers from the coffee table. Even at my tidiest, Ben's papers had found their way into the nooks and crannies of our home at the beginnings of the semester. He was currently co-teaching a course called The Philosophy of Horror with our best friend Max, who was in the English department. I found myself regularly sitting down among them, picking them up and reading them. Actually, I couldn't seem to stop myself from reading them. They all seemed to relate to me in a profound way, and I found myself thinking about them throughout the day. The fact was, becoming pregnant had made me weirder. I was crabbier and also maybe paranoid, sometimes wondering if Ben had me in mind specifically when he wrote his notes about monstrous women and uncanny houses. Some of the ideas unsettled me. And for whatever reason, the most unsettling ones seemed to have lodged themselves in my brain permanently. They had sneaked their way into the mid-century housewife book, their presence like teacups I had knocked over between the pages. One chapter, for instance, was about how mid-century novels like The Stepford Wives and The Body Snatchers depicted technological change as horrifically altering suburban women. I was supposed to be making it more accessible and less academic, but I couldn't help myself from adding that the Gothic as a genre bonds domestic space to the woman who inhabits it and uses household rooms to represent undiscovered territories within the self. Ben had written that down on a little slip of scrap paper. What territories of my mind were undiscovered? Did Ben find me unknowable? The thought terrified me, but the fact was I sometimes felt unknowable to myself, and I had been confronted recently with the fact that there was something inside Ben that I hadn't seen before either. Some need that I hadn't discovered and hadn't been able to fulfill, at least not to the extent that Allison had. I had fallen in love with another woman once, Celeste. I wasn't sure at the time, but now I knew it must have been love. Before I became pregnant, I dated a few other women, together and with Ben, and on my own. I could find something that I should have loved in each of them. One who had recently lost her grandmother and who cooked me dinner from a recipe written in looping cursive on a yellowing index card. One who had read A Song of Ice and Fire hundreds of times and collected beautiful brocade fabrics from which to make cosplay gowns. She let me run my hands down them both on and off her body. In each case, I left these women not really caring whether I saw them again. They never felt right or tasted right or smelled right to me. It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that this was because they didn't taste or feel or smell like Celeste. Neither did Ben, but Ben felt and tasted and smelled like Ben, which is to say, like home. But then Ben fell in love with Allison. I didn't believe in vetoes. I didn't have a scarcity mindset. Ben's love for Allison did not diminish his love for me. He had told me that, and I reminded myself that my love for Celeste had not diminished my love for Ben. But still, being in love was a horror. Today's loose papers seemed to be notes from a lecture Ben was preparing. I read them for clues about me and our marriage and how he felt about it. He had typed, In the Dust of This Planet, Eugene Thacker proposes a new terminology for thinking about the blurring of the human and non-human worlds. The world for us is the world that we, as human beings, interpret and give meaning to, a world that we relate to or feel alienated from. It is a fabricated thing, established through organization. It must be continually produced and taken care of. It exists alongside another world, a world without us. That world bites back, resists, or ignores our attempts to mold it. Thacker argues that horror as a genre makes visible and grapples with the world without us by expressing it in a whole bestiary of impossible life forms, mist, ooze, blobs, slime, clouds, and more, or, as Plato once put it, hair, mud, and dirt. The world without us is expressed then by what Julia Kristeva has called abjection, the me that is not me, the breakdown between what is self and what is other. Fuck me, I thought. I heard a little bat swoop down, hit the barrier, and fly back up again.